Warhammer 40,000 Renegades, Lord of Excess, by Rich McCormick. Part 2, Chapter 12. Here commences the 417th Council of the Most Wise. The voice rattled windows in the top-floor chamber, loud enough that the room's human residents threw hands up to cover their ears. Observe, all ye citizens of Serene, Governor Pyrod, our august barons, Vavisk, Sarquil, Toricon, and the Lady Phaedra, and the most just, Lord Xantine, long may they rule. The woman who had spoken fell to her knees, panting, each heaving breath leaving her body with a burst of static. She had no choice. Her mouth and nose had been removed, replaced by a circular golden vox unit that popped and whined, even when she was at rest. The unit was piped into her neck, gold and silver cabling meeting and then disappearing underneath the sagging flesh of her throat. Where it plumbed into her augmented lungs, a belt of nutrient bags hung around her waist like a bandolier of ammunition, piping sustenance directly into her stomach. Anjou Derbeek was Xantine's personal speaker. The role was a high honour, but the woman was old and her family had challenged for the position, and the extensive surgeries required to adequately fill the position had taken their toll on her body. She needed more than a minute to compose herself, eyes bloodshot and chest still heaving from the effort. Before she could draw herself up to full height, it was short for a citizen of Serene, a world where gene therapy and rejuvenant treatments were so common, and it took several more minutes to totter from the chamber, assisted by muscular women in white silk robes. Xantine watched her go and grimaced. He didn't like starting his days with displays of weakness. The good Lady Derbeek may have outlived her effectiveness, he muttered to a hulking figure in a golden mask to his right. See if we can't engineer a challenge in the coming days. I hear that House Gillone wants to advance their stock. Yes, Lord. The figure rumbled and withdrew to make arrangements. Xantine was in a foul mood. Sejant had grown restless of late, and she was bucked in his soul now, agitated and restless. The demon was swelling with power, feeding on the suffering and pleasure of the millions of souls on Serene's tiered city, and she exerted her will more frequently. He often lost hours at a time as she took control of his body by force, stalking through the alleys and streets of the world, slaking her dark desires on his people. The loss of control gnawed at his thoughts. His mood darkened further when Sarquil spoke first. Emergency point of order, the silver-haired giant said. Our slave stock is diminishing faster than we can replenish it. Even with enhanced breeding programs, 212 slaves only remain with the exhortation, from the initial 3,417 that made planetfall to this world. Sarquil offered a cold smirk. On the positive side, the number of deaths diminished the impact of our food supply problems. What do you propose? Vavisk growled. Xantine shot his old friend a venomous look, hoping to stop him from encouraging the quartermaster. It was in vain. I propose that we overturn this sham of a civilization, enslave the bulk of the city's population, redouble our repair efforts on the exhortation, put out a call for aid to our brother warbands. The flawless host have been known to raid in this sector. They may heed our call. Xantine closed his eyes for a long moment and drew in a slow breath. Sarquil had always been single-minded, but he had become truly monomaniacal since the Adored's forced grounding on Serene. Brother, he sighed, how many times have we had this conversation? I ask because I am certain you have kept records, meticulous records, of my responses to this line of questioning. The answer is always the same. What makes you think that I will change my mind now? I hope that you will see reason, Sarquil said. You speak not of slaves, but of my people. I offer them a fair society, a just society. The Corpse Emperor subjugates the unenlightened, grinds them to gruel to feed his inane war machine. But I have seen the truth. The galaxy is full of pain and pleasure. I have unshackled humanity and let them taste it. Sarquil slammed his massive hand on the arm of his chair. It yelped in pain. They are slaves, Xantine, and nothing more. You are blinded by their indulgence. But I see the course clear. We must use the bounty of this world to rearm and rebuild and rejoin our brothers in the Black Legion. He wants your power, my love, the giant said, surprising Xantine. Her words were like a finger traced along the nape of his neck. Toricon, Sarquil said, turning to the young space marine. You see this, surely? Toricon's face flickered in confusion. He looked to Xantine, gauging the correct response. Xantine met him with a small shake of his head. No, Brother Sarquil. Lord Xantine's rule is absolute. If he bids that we remain on this world, then we remain. The ignorance of youth, Sarkwell turned, searching for allies in the council. He locked eyes with Phaedra, and the witch returned a cruel smile. He would find no common ground with Xantine's muse. He turned instead to Vavisk. Vavisk, the Song of Slaanesh calls to you. I know. Your noise marines are restless. I hear their chorus across the city. They long to share their musics with the stars. The mouths on Vavisk's necks spoke in response, whispering affirmations and disagreements. Xantine wondered if they spoke for his brother or for themselves, but he knew better than to accept their answer. He waited. Bloodshot eyes cast at the floor, Vavisk spoke through his vox-grill mouth. We endure. Xantine closed his eyes and breathed deeply, a theatrical gesture of frustration. When he opened them, he fixed Sarkwell with a murderous glare. Are you finished, Quartermaster? You'll find no allies here. He stood, his gauntlets clasped around the fine hilt of anguish. You wish to usurp me? He asked. You wish to take this paradise that I have created? I have no desire to rule this backwater cesspit, Sarkwell answered. Incredulous. I want to leave. He is lying, Sejanth whispered. I know your machinations, Sarkwell. I see how you scheme and plot to take this jewel from me, how you try to win favour of our loyal brothers. You think my rule's so weak that you, a small-minded pedant, a dull-witted materialist, a glorified bean counter, that you could wrest control from one such as I? He brought the rapier into a two-handed grip and assumed a stance once favoured by his legion's palatine blades. A clear gesture of threat. Sarkwell would back down. Good, my love, good. The Giant was drinking from the deep well of his anger, he knew. But the Terminator didn't back down. Enough, Sarkwell roared. The giant rose from his chair, his usually calm demeanour upended. 8 years on this blighted world, and for what? So that you can build up a squalid monument to Fulgrim's Chemos? Look around yourself, Xantine. You seek the worship of addled mortals and our legion's cast-offs. This world is rotting, and you are the cancer at its heart. I am loved. You are despised. Abaddon had the true measure of the third. Not speak the betrayer's name in my presence, Xantine thundered. He lunged forward and brought Anguish around, two gloved gauntlets aiming the weapon at Sarkwell's gorget. The weapon vibrated in his grip, inches away from the Tartarus plate protecting his brother's neck. Sarkwell stared him down, unflinching. Without a word, the giant sparked the energy field of his power fist. Green glares danced between his fingers as they uncurled. You are no prince, Xantine, and I will no longer follow your command. Sarkwell turned and strode from the room. So I want to say that escalated quickly, but we've had an 8-year time skip, and I don't really know how to feel about that. That's a lot. That's a lot of time to go by from how we started at the end of chapter 11 to chapter 12. But it's cool. I mean, we knew in part 1 they'd kind of set up a lot of fraying relationships, and I'm curious to see how that evolves. I think obviously Sarkwell is made clear his intent to fuck off and possibly kill Xantine, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'm still enjoying this book. That was a very short chapter, but I suppose it makes sense considering chapter 11 was literally the longest chapter we've read so far. That was literally like, what, 5 pages? Yeah, but literally 5 pages, if that. So super quick chapter. Really quick. But yeah, next chapter soon, okay?